Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The honorable examiners of this final assignment examination. Good morning. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Tika Puspita and I'm from MD Study Program. In this lovely morning, I would like to say thanks for the opportunity they have given to me to present my final assignment with the title English Teacher Strategies to Increase Students' Vocabulary in Learning English. In this presentation, I would like to present the whole chapter on my research, starting from Chapter 1, Introduction, Chapter 2, Review of Related Literature, Chapter 3, research methodology, Chapter 4, finding and discussion, and then Chapter 5, conclusion and suggestion. The first chapter is Chapter 1, Introduction. In this chapter, I present about the background of the research question, objective of the research, limitation of the research, and then the significance of the research. The first one is background. English is the first foreign language studied in Indonesia. This language became the compulsory subject in junior high school level, according to Frugianisi and Marlinisi in 2016. The main goals of teaching and learning English for this level are the mastery of listening and reading skills. The skills become the priority that students must be mastered first. Accordingly, to be able to master the skills, the students need to master first component of language. Among other are vocabulary, pronunciation, spelling, and grammar. However, in my research, I just focused to discuss one component of language, namely vocabulary. As we know that vocabulary play an essential role in learning English, that the FL student must be mastered first. It's because vocabulary is the foundation of language and that support language development. According to Nei and Zhu in 2017, they say that vocabulary is the building blocks of language, and non-language acquisition can take place without the acquisition of vocabulary. It means that the students need to have sufficient vocabulary to be able to express their idea, to be able to express their thought, feelings, or idea, and to convey message or information so that it is understood by other people. And then the more students master the vocabulary of the target language, the more they can be able to read, speak, listen, and write as they want. Rahmatillah in 2014. And then based on my experience as student teacher in one of the junior high school in Kota Jambi, I found a case that students have difficulties and problems in learning English. It was seen in the classroom learning process that students tend to be passive and give less feedback. From the interview of several students, they tend to be passive because they have a limited vocabulary. They're difficult to understand the material, to express their idea, and to answer the question from the teacher. And then they also say that they're difficult in mastering English vocabulary. They're difficult in memorizing the form, the meaning, and the use of the words. From this case, I believe that vocabulary is the major component of language that should get more attention from the teacher. Although there are no teaching material that openly discuss vocabulary, the teacher are required to cover it and link it with their teaching material. And then I think that the teacher can use and choose the best strategies to help students increase their vocabulary. And then according to Nation in 2001, for vocabulary learning strategies is effective to improve students' vocabulary. And then every teacher is likely to have various strategies to help students increase their vocabulary. Smith in 2000. The strategies that can be used to increase students' vocabulary is classified into two categories. The first is discovery strategies, and the second one is consolidation strategies. Thus, in my research, I interested on conducting survey research to investigate what strategies the English teacher used to increase students' vocabulary in learning English. I formulated the research question. The first one is, what strategies are used by the English teacher to increase student vocabulary in learning English? And the second one is, what strategies are dominantly used by the English teacher to increase student vocabulary in learning English? And then for the purposes of the research, and the first is to investigate what strategies English teacher use to increase student vocabulary in learning English. And the second one is to find out what the dominant strategies used by the English teacher to increase student vocabulary in learning English. And then for the limitation of the research, due to the COVID-19, I just use online questionnaire to investigate teacher strategies. And then for the significance of the study, this study important to do because it will provide information for the readers about the type strategies used among the English teacher to increase students' vocabulary in learning English. And then theoretically, the finding of this research are expected to find out the dominant strategies used by the English teacher to increase student vocabulary. And then theoretically, the finding of this research are expected to help the English teacher determine the best strategies to increase students' vocabulary in learning English. Then we move to the next chapter, chapter 2, review of related literatures. And there are two main parts of this section. The first one is related literature, and the second one is previous studies. The first one is related literatures. In my research, I use some theories from some experts. The first one is from class 10 in 2013 in page 2 about the definition of vocabulary. He defined vocabulary is the words of language, including single item and phrase or chunks of several words which convey a particular meaning, the individual words. And then the theories from Richard and Renaya in 2002 about the importance of vocabulary. Vocabulary is one of the course of language proficiency which will give an impact on how well students listen, read, speak, and write. And then Hayward and Camille in 2005 about the type of vocabulary. Vocabulary can be defined into two categories. The first is receptive vocabularies and the second one is the productive vocabularies. And then the theories from Brown in 2001 about the definition of vocabulary, about the definition of strategies. Strategies are specific method of approaching a problem or task, modes of operation for achieving a particular end or plan designed for controlling and manipulating certain information. And then the theories from Smith about the vocabulary learning strategies. Vocabulary learning strategies are approaches that aim to facilitate and simplify students to learn new words. It's aimed to help them develop their vocabulary in ways that are easier, faster, and independently. The vocabulary learning strategies can be classified into two categories. The first is discovery strategies, and the second one is the consolidation strategies. Discovery strategies includes determination strategy and social strategies, and consolidation strategies includes memory strategies, cognitive strategies, and metacognitive strategies. And the next is previous studies. There are two previous studies related with my research. And the first one is from Yulin in 2005 about the teaching vocabulary learning strategies, awareness, belief, and practice. And then the second one was from Huda in 2016 about an investigation of English teaching strategies in enhancing students' vocabulary. Actually, my research has some similarities and differences with two previous studies. For the similarities, my research has have the same scope with the two previous studies that discuss about the English teacher vocabulary, strategies. And then for the differences, my research was conducted with the population, location, and the objectives that are different from the two previous studies. Now we move to the next chapter, chapter 3 about research methodology. In this section, I present about method and procedure that I use to answer my research question. The first is research setting. I conducted the research from 14th until 21st September in 2020. In conducting the research, I used quantitative research with survey design. This approach was chosen because it best way to answer my research question. And then for the population and sample, the population of my research was the English teacher who incorporated in MGM Birayon Fu Kota Jambi. And for the sampling techniques, I used total population sampling in my research because the total number of people in my research under 100 people. So the total sample in my research just 39 English teacher. For the research instrument, I adapted the questionnaire from Yuling to investigate what strategies English teacher use to increase student vocabulary in learning English. In adapting the questionnaire, I omitted one category of strategies, namely metacognitive strategies. As we know that metacognitive strategies includes planning, monitoring, and evaluating the best way to study words, so we cannot find out the metacognitive strategies that the English teacher use just by giving the questionnaire to the English teacher, but we need to use direct observation in the class to investigate metacognitive strategies the English teacher use to increase student vocabulary in learning English. And then the next is technique of data collection. The first, I asked permission from the head of English language study program and the dean of teaching training and education and the head of MGMB Rayon for Kota Jambi. And then after that, I give invitation letter to the head and the members of MGMB Rayon for Kota Jambi. After that, I distributed the questionnaire online on WhatsApp group MGMB Rainfo Kota Jambi. After I got the data, I analyze the data. The techniques of data analysis that I use is simple descriptive studies. So in my research I present about the main and the percentage of each strategies, and then for the main score of each strategies, I categorize the scores based on the table interval categories from Hadianto and Sani in 2013. Now we move to the next chapter 4 about the finding and discussion. In this section, there are two main parts. The first is biographical description of the participant, and the second one is the finding and discussion. The first is biographical description of the participant. As I explained before, the sample of the research was the 39 English teacher who participate in MGMB Rayon for Kota Jambi. However, in my research, there are 22 of teacher who want to participate, and then for details of the participate, we can see in this table. And then for the background of the participant, the first is gender. The participant that involved in my study were female students, female teachers, and no male teachers who involved in my study. And then for the academic qualification, in this part I group teachers based on their academic qualifications. From the second chart, we can know that 90 teachers are having bachelor degree, and then two teachers are having master degree, and only one teacher is having doctorate degree. It means that the English teachers that are incorporated in MGMB Rayon for Kota Jambi come from variety of academic qualification. And then the third is about the experience in teaching English. From the chart, we can know that the teachers have difference of experience in teaching English. The first is age. Participant had 11 until 15 years teaching experience, and then 6 participants had more than 15 years of teaching materials, and then 3 participants had 6 until 10 years of teaching experience, and then 2 participants had 1 until 5 years of teaching experience. It means that the large percentage of teachers who participate in my study had 11 until 15 years of teaching experience. Next is finding and discussion about English teacher strategies. To improve students' vocabulary, every teacher is likely to have various of strategies. Smith in 2000. In my research, I focus to discuss 3 categories of strategies. The first one is memory strategies, and then cognitive strategies, and then determination strategies. From the result of my research, the teachers and the English teacher use overall strategies to increase student vocabulary in learning English. The first one is memory strategies. As we know that memory strategies is the series of techniques that can be used to help students remember a word easily. The highest memory strategies used by the teacher was the memory strategies number 4 with the band score 4.09, and the result can be seen in this table. And the next is cognitive strategies. The result of the cognitive strategies can be seen in this table. As we know that cognitive strategies cover manipulating and transforming the target language. The cognitive and the highest cognitive strategies used by the teacher to increase students' vocabulary was the cognitive strategies number 1 with the main score 4.27, and then the last is determination strategies. The result of the determination strategies can be seen in this table. As we know that determination strategies are strategies that can be used by the teacher to encourage students to independently know the meaning of word without getting help from the teacher or other people's or students. And then the highest determination strategy used by the English teacher to increase student vocabulary was the determination strategy number 6 with the main score at 3.91. And then the next is the most strategy and the dominant strategies used by the English teacher to increase students' vocabulary was cognitive strategies with the main score 3.9. One of the possible reasons why cognitive strategies become the dominant strategies used by the teachers to increase students' vocabulary is because this strategies is popular among the students, and it's effective to increase students' proficiency, as made in 2000. And then another reason is because these strategies cover the manipulation and transforming of the target language by the learners. Next, we move to the last chapter, chapter 5, about conclusion and suggestion. The first one is conclusion. From the finding and discussion, there are two main conclusions. Firstly, the English teacher used three all categories of strategies to increase student vocabulary in learning English. Among other are memory strategies with the band score 3.82, and then cognitive strategies with the main score 3.99, and then determination strategies with the main score 3.61. And then secondly, the dominant strategy that the English teacher used to increase students' vocabulary was cognitive strategies with the main score 3.99. And then for the suggestions, the first one is for English teachers. I suggest them to use a variety of strategies to increase student vocabulary in learning English, because by using the variety of strategies, the teachers can determine the appropriate and then the effective strategies that can be used to increase student vocabulary in learning English. And then for the future researchers, I suggest them to use a direct observation in the classroom to investigate English teachers' strategies to increase student vocabulary in learning English. I think that's all my presentation. Thanks for your attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.